Have you ever wondered why two homes in the same community with the same square feet could be listed at different prices? How about that neighboring community that has their home sell for consistently 50,000 or more than yours? Ever wonder why that is? In this podcast, we'll discuss those answers. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Realty Podcast with Tony Griffin, Keller Williams 1, Greensboro, North Carolina, Kim Mathis and Associates. And today we're going to be talking about pricing and whose price is really being used to set the numbers that you see. Also, what happens when prices get a little bit out of whack and why some homes are priced differently than others. Uh, so, to start off, there's a few different areas we're going to go into. The first thing is going to be talking about the type of build of a home. And this doesn't necessarily mean the size of the home, because there are quite a few communities, especially here in Greensboro, North Carolina, where you can have multiple builders in the same community. And from the exterior of those homes, they look very, very similar. They might be following similar build types. They might be following similar square footage plans. They might even have the same types of locations for the garage, same types of same types of plats or sizes of the lot, and even same types of fencing in the backyard. So, for all intents and purposes, you can look directly across the street to your neighbor's house and almost look like a mirror image. And you list your house, and within a week, you see that your neighbor across the street has listed their house for $25,000 more. And you're wondering, well, did we list our house too low, or is this person crazy? And the interesting thing is, both of those questions could be wrong. And this is why. Because with different types of builders comes different types of home builds on the interior. So there's generally most people subscribe to there being three different types of builds. There's quite a few more, but the vast majority of builders can fall into one of three categories. You have production builders, semi-custom builders, and custom builders. And each one has their own little unique twists. Production builders are just like how it sounds. They build to scale, they build in mass. And with production builds, you do not get a say in anything with the house at all. You can choose the floor plan. You can choose the lot in some instances. However, you cannot choose the type of flooring, the type of carpeting, the color paint that's on the walls, the type of cabinets, the color of granite, types of light fixtures. None of that is in your control with a production build. With a production build, that builder's main concern is cranking out as many homes as possible in the allotted time frame that they have and in the allotted area that they have. So because of that, they do limit what a buyer can choose. And with production builders, that gets limited to type of floor plan and location of build to an extent, because they may only have certain lots that fit certain size homes. So, for instance, if you've got a ranch style house and that it's at the end of the cul-de-sac, maybe they only want the two stores at the end of the cul-de-sac, and you've got to be somewhere in the middle of the street, or something along those lines. So that's what a production build is. You've got semi-custom builds. Semi-custom is a builder who will allow you to make certain changes inside of the home. They may let you choose the type of flooring, the type of cabinets and countertops, paint colors, little extra features. Like you might have the flexibility to choose different types of sinks, or different types of light fixtures. Maybe you want a ceiling fan light fixture in every room versus just a dome light. Maybe you want a jacuzzi tub in the primary bedroom instead of a soaking tub, or no tub at all and just an extra big shower. Semi custom are the builders who can get that job done for you. They still build in mass and they still build to scale, They don't allow you to tear down walls or anything like that. You're still going off of a basic build plan, but they set their scheme up to where you're building at such a rate that if somebody does change the cabinets, it's not going to halt production. If somebody changes the color scheme that they want to go with, it's not going to drastically put the rest of the builds behind the eight ball as far as time frame goes. Also, with semi-custom builders, they charge you more. All of that is considered a la carte. So if you want a different countertop, if you want different cabinets, if you want carpet upstairs but hardwood floors on the first floor, they can do it for you, but they're going to charge you a bit extra for it. And then you've got your full on custom builds where they allow you to make any and all changes inside of the home that you like. If you prefer a ranch level, one level home with a wide open floor plan, or if you want every single room to be walled off with a door, they're happy to do it for you. If you want wrought iron on the banister instead of MDF or wood, they can do that. If you want tile in the bathrooms, if you want tile in the kitchen, if you want three different colors of cabinetry, it really doesn't matter. They're willing and able to get that taken care of for you because they're not building on a production level. They're building on a one by one, a one of one type build strategy. And because of that, there's extra care that's usually put into the building and the plans of it. There's extra feedback that you're allowed to give. And there's changes that can be made. Now, keep in mind, for every change you make, that price tag is going to go up. So, as the price tag goes up, that means the resale value, in some instances, will follow the price tag and go a little bit higher as well. It's all within reason, and it all depends on what each buyer is willing to pay for and how custom you get. Because, trust me, not everybody is going to love that eggplant purple that you decided to paint the living room with. So, try to keep that in mind, even on a custom home build. If it's not going to be your forever home, keep in mind what the next person may want, just so you keep strong resale value and you don't automatically have to go in and repaint the entire house. So, you've got your types of builds. You also have neighboring communities. Again, here in Greensboro, North Carolina, it's not uncommon to have one community that feeds into another with drastically different build styles. You may have the first community are all brick, single level ranch homes that are between 14 and 1700 square feet with a two-car garage. And then that neighborhood feeds directly into another community where everything is vinyl siding. They're all two stories. You have a single car garage, but maybe that vinyl's two-story single car garage was built in the 2000s, and the brick one-story ranches were built in the 1980s. And you've got them connected by the exact same street. And that's not uncommon in our area. I would venture to say that there's some areas around the country that have the same type of situation where you can have homes on the exact same street just separated by a few doors, and they look drastically different in build style, in age, in types of materials used. And because of that, when you have such a huge discrepancy in the age of a build, that's going to affect the price, just like a huge discrepancy in the types of materials or how custom the home is built will have a huge change in price. So that leads me into what is really comparable. What can you truly compare when you're looking at a house to determine what the value would be? And there's a few things that you're going to want to look at. You're going to want to look at the total living square feet. You're going to want to look at the number of bedrooms and bathrooms that the house has. You're also going to want to look at the age. So, when looking at the age of a home, it can vary, and it can vary area to area. What I would say a good um, defining mark or a good general rule to practice would be try to find them in age groups. So, for instance, we're coming up to the end of 2022. What would I be looking at for comparable homes if the subject or the home that I'm really focusing in on was built in 2015. With the 2015 build, I might go back to early 2000s and all the way to probably 2019, 2020. So I would give almost a 20-year swing from maybe 2000 to 2020 to try to find for comparable properties, because for the most part you'll find very similar types of materials. You'll find very similar types of builds. The homes will look very similar on the inside unless they're more custom, and it'll give a better general understanding and overview of what to expect from house to house. I would not go further back than that for a 2015 home build. If you go back to a house that was built in the 1980s, it's going to be completely different materials used. It's going to be completely different build styles, because every a decade or 15 years or so, the style drastically changes about what the buying public is looking for. There wasn't too long ago that the most important room in the house was the living room, and the least important room in the house was the kitchen, or the least important room in the house was the primary bedroom. But now there's a lot of focus on getting that primary suite, getting that ensuite, getting that dedicated primary bathroom. There's a big push on the size of the kitchen. You're seeing a lot more eat-in kitchens. You're seeing a lot more kitchens that have larger workspace islands and eat-in islands where you can have multiple people around. You're seeing a push still for more open floor plans. Having that ease of access from the living room to the kitchen area is still very, very important. Where if you're looking at a home in the 1970s, 1980s, the kitchen wasn't as important. And if it's not as updated, you might be dealing with a galley style kitchen where you can't have multiple people in there at the same time in the same area. You'll have closed off walls that doesn't give you a direct line of sight to the living room or to the dining room. So things along those lines change over the decades. If we're looking at a home that was built in the early to mid 90s, I might go everywhere from 1999 down to about 1985. For a home that was built in, say, the 70s, I might stretch that even further and go all the way down to a 1950s build to an early 1980s build. Depending on the area and the build types, will determine how far you've got as far as tolerance goes for the age of a home. Size of a home plays a huge factor in it. So you don't want to go and try to compare a 1,700 square foot to a 3,500 square foot house. They're not even in the same general realm as far as overall size. They might even have the same number of bedrooms and bathrooms, but it's still double the space. When you get into that kind of realm, you want to keep things very comfortable as far as the levels of differences in square foot that you're going with. So for instance, if I'm dealing with a 1,200 square foot single level ranch style house, I might look for everything from 1,000 square feet to about 1,500 square feet single level first, before I think about expanding those tolerances at all. Same thing if I'm looking at a 3,000 square foot house. I'll look for everything from about 2,500 square feet to 3,500 square feet, maybe even 3,750 square feet, depending on the neighborhood, just to try to pull in as many available comparable homes. I'm also going to look for similar styles. So if it's a ranch one level, I'm looking for ranch one levels. If it's a split level, I'm looking specifically for split levels, or maybe for a ranch that has a basement that's finished. 2 stories, I'm looking specifically to try to find those 2 stories, and so on and so on. You want to have the build types and size types match up before you start comparing prices. Number of beds and baths are also a key factor in there. And also, you're going to want to check versus what statuses these homes are in when you're taking a look at price points. Keep in mind that you can list a home for any price you like. However, that doesn't mean that that's the price that it's going under contract for, and it doesn't mean that it's the price that it's going to close for. So, when looking for true comparable homes, you should always try to find homes that have recently sold and closed that generally match your home's age, your home's size, and your home's location. If you can stick to that general focus, it's going to at least give you more information and a better understanding of your jumping off point. Comparing your home to a home that's still on the market, whether it's under contract or not, is not going to be very helpful for you because all it's going to show is that listed price number until it actually closes. Once it actually closes, then the number becomes public record and you can look at it more heavily as a comparable. But until then, it's just what something someone would like to get for their house. So definitely keep that in mind. When looking at pricing, it's not always what somebody's paying for it, but what somebody would like to see get paid for their home. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to this podcast. If you've got any questions about buying or selling your home in Greensboro, maybe you've got questions about what price point you should be at, give me a call at 757-719-4717, or you can click the link below. I really look forward to hearing from you guys and talking to you next time. Have a great week.